Hello and welcome to another free code session. My name is Jason Bach and this one's a little sad. Hopefully it won't be too long, but it's a little sad because I did some work yesterday on the WSharp compiler and tried a couple of prototypes, tried a couple of ideas, and they all came crashing down. So it's not without hope in that I'm not giving up on the project. There's still work to be done, and I know I eventually can produce something. That's not the problem. It's just the goal of having something for the conference next week, that's not going to happen. Which is okay. It wasn't required. It would have been, I think, a little nice to have something working, but it's not quite there yet. And I want to talk a little bit about what I did and discuss why things don't work and hopefully what the resolution will be sometime hopefully this year. The core problem is, at least what I ran into, is .NET Core and IL emission. It's not that it can't be done. Obviously, it can be done. There's the C# compiler, F#, VB. They all do something to create an assembly, so that's not the issue. It works. In fact, I think they use system reflection metadata. I'm not 100% sure on that, but I'm almost positive that's what the Roslyn compilers are doing. Which I thought of going down the road, but it didn't seem like there were any good, decent examples as to how do you actually generate an assembly with system reflection metadata. And in fact, one of the things I may do in the near future is just do some demos with all this stuff to see how do you get this all to work, especially in .NET Core. Because when you generate an assembly in .NET Core, one of the things I found out is, which I just never really thought of, but you get these, let's see if I can bring this up here. A lot of times I just don't even look at, hey, what's in my bin folder? Let's go, let's actually go to the WSharp folders here. Okay, and if you go look at what's in these, you see that we have these deps.json and runtime config.json files. Now this one isn't too bad. This actually is pretty simple. This one can get to be somewhat more involved, in terms of the format and what needs to be in here. And these are critical, as I found out trying to generate some code. If you don't have those there and you just say .NET WSharp or whatever the DLL name is, which also throws me. I'm still a little thrown that when you say create a console app, you're actually getting a DLL and you run it through .NET. And I know that was there, but it's still kind of odd. I wish, and in fact, I thought .NET Core standalone. I thought there was a way to make a standalone exe. Oh. Yeah, but this is all the old I wonder if they describe it now with the Celtic elements. So this is also something of an option to do this, to make it a self-contained, because then I don't think, I'm not sure about this, but I don't think you need to do any of the deps files, but that's a different issue. So there's that. But getting back on track here, generating the assemblies with system reflection metadata was going to be a little difficult because I couldn't find some good tutorial examples on it. CSLA, I found one. I had to tweak a little bit to make it work, but then again I ran into these, you have to have these JSON files there. System reflection emit, we'll come back to that in a second. Compiler API, I had a strange idea of, well, if I could parse the whenever code, which I haven't done yet, but let's just say I can, could I actually translate that into syntax elements that are in a C# syntax tree and then compile that. And long story short, I think that would work, but it didn't feel right. It kind of felt a little odd, like I was missing the point of something. So yeah, I decided to back off on that idea. What I'd really like is system reflection emit. That's something that I've used a lot a long time ago. I'm somewhat familiar with it. The problem is that it just doesn't work in .NET Core, or at the very least, I couldn't. That's the thing. You can't say save. Ironically, there's a option to say run and collect, or save, and there's no save on that enumeration, which is like I need to save out what I'm building, which just stunned me. I was like, "Are you kidding me?" And I guess maybe there's a way that you could probably get the byte array of your generated assembly and then store that to disk or something. But that was really weird that didn't work, or that at least it seems was going to be pretty problematic to just have that work. So none of these options. I mean, one of them they have to work. So something has to work. I'm just running into problems trying to get them to work, and I just said, I don't have the time. Today is my last day of vacation, and I just don't have the time to keep bashing this out and come up with a solution. I need to actually make sure that both my presentations are put together well, just clean them up, that they're all up to date, and I'm starting working in tomorrow. Then I have a 2-day weekend, but then Monday I fly out to Cleveland to go to the conference. So, and yeah, I'm going to be. The first 2 days, it's kind of a weird conference in that the first 2 days are basically like, I think they call them pre-compilers or something, but they're like all-day sessions. And then the Thursday and Friday are the breakout sessions, the 60-minute sessions, which I'm doing 2 talks at. And I'm going, like, they gave me a room for all 4 nights, which in retrospect, I probably should have said thanks, but I'll fly out Wednesday and come back, and come back Friday rather than being out all week. I just didn't know what the schedule was going to be like when I booked my flight. So, so I'm flying out there Monday, and then I'll still be working all week. So maybe Monday night or Tuesday night or something like that. Maybe I'll try this again, one last ditch effort. But yeah, I don't know. I copied a bunch of code over from Minsk to do some parsing and lexing. I haven't even tested that yet. And, that was just a pure copy. A lot of what that does, I bet, won't translate into what Whenever does, though I think some of it will be helpful and relevant. So that's there too, but I definitely need to even do something with that. I've just done literally copy and paste, and that's not, not relevant to Whenever. So I've got to spend some time on that. And I might do that too, just to at least say, can I generate a tree? Can I generate a tree that matches what I need? And then if I could do that, at least that's something. Then I just need to figure out that glue piece to get that to talk to making an executable. So that's my woes for WSharp. I wish I was in a better space with that, but not yet. But I will get there. It's something that I want to do. As I said, I got presentations to do. That's what I'm going to be just working on today for the next couple hours. And just getting my presentations all up to snuff and making sure that they have the right corporate template with the right tagline and everything on it and the right links and everything else like that. Ystari, I mentioned that in a previous episode. That's something I want to work on. So I will probably start doing that to some degree. I still don't like the name. I have another name in mind that I might try to convince Rocky to say, let's do that one instead. But a friend of mine actually who's working at the same client I'm at, he has been doing kind of almost a different side project, doing some of these ideas and modernizing them. And it's been interesting to see what he's been doing. But eventually at some point this year, this has to all come together and at least put something together that's modern. So that's another thing I'm going to be working on this year. And Rocks, I've kind of been rejuvenated to some degree with this. I still want to explore this whole idea of saying, handle that and saying parse that. So you're trying to call a method on whatever the type is that rock represents. If it had if it had values, you're saying, well, then it's got to be literally a 3. Arg is bar. There's a type. I can't remember my own syntax. But if I find something like this, and maybe by doing this, I can actually allow something like span of t. If I can't do that with a generic, but what I might end up saying is like type of, although it had to be like is type of, is generic. And then you could say type of span of char or something like that. And then you need one more, right? Yeah. So the point of that, then that has to be, why am I even debugging this? But what that would give you is the ability to say, hey, I want to call a method that is a span of char or something like that. And then I could also have something like a generic value, where it would be some span of char c equals whatever, however you got it, that it's actually the c here, okay? And that would be what you have as the expectation coming in, that it's actually that thing. That might be cool. Ref arguments don't work very well at all with expressions. This might be really cool to say, okay, well then what is x? And then I'd have to think about that one for a while. But there's something about this that makes me go, this is a cool experiment. I don't know if it'll work well, but I want to try investigating this to say, is there a way to do this, to provide some kind of value? In having a much more extensible and flexible way of mocking virtuals, because pointer types and other things like that you can't really do well. This would really open up the gates, I think. Now the disadvantage of this is that, of course, if you do something like that, then it's just a string, and you wouldn't know that until runtime that you screwed up. And so I'd want to write an analyzer that would do essentially the same work, verify basically verify is the string parsable in the sense that I could do something with it in rocks. And if I can't, then I could squiggle all this and say, invalid statement or something like that. I don't know what it would say specifically, but somehow inform the user that that's probably not correct, and that you have to put in code there to make it work right. So, it's again, it's an interesting idea. I don't know how well it will work. I don't know how fast it will work, if it's going to be any faster or slower than what we have right now. That would be another performance thing to look at. But I do want to try this, because I think this will give me the most flexibility. It just is going to be interesting to see how I work that in. I've looked at the code that I've done for rocks, and I have to admit, it's also starting to getting a little gnarly for me. I don't know if you noticed I think it was a previous one where I did a fix for rocks, that trying to change a little piece was it wasn't hard, but it wasn't as easy as I thought it would be. And there's little nuances that are coming up like that, places in code. I'm like, why is this here? Why isn't it there? Why did I name this way? Because I don't do work on it on a day-to-day basis. I created that library, that package, almost over 3 years ago. I started work on it, and now it's just at the point where, again, it's a fun project to touch now and again, but I don't do anything with it on a day-to-day basis. So sometimes I forget what I need to do and where it is and how things work and could I make it cleaner. So, but it's, anyway, I do want to try that out. I want to see if that actually would be something that's worth doing. So that's all I'm going to talk about today. I'm going to get to working on some presentations, and with the next episode, I don't know. I'm not going to have any thoughts as to what I'm going to do the next time. I think I'm going to stop trying to guess what I'm going to do next time because it just doesn't work out the way I want it to. So maybe it'll be this, maybe it'll be this. I don't know, maybe it'll be this, maybe it'll be something else. Who knows? But we'll keep making episodes. I do enjoy doing this, and we'll see what comes up next time. So thanks for watching. Leave your comments and questions below. See you in the next episode.